Hey, Soul Survivors. I'm Cynthia Schiller here with Dave, where we can see that women can be narcissists too, because he has been through a toxic relationship. And I reached out to him because his transformation from the deep down depression to what he has overcome, like physical transformation, mental transformation. We're going to get into a story and how he started the healing journey. So, Dave, welcome to the channel. Can you tell me a little bit of a background of how this woman was a narcissist? You also mentioned too that your therapist thought that she was a covert narcissist. So please expand and explain.
Yeah. I was with her for 5 years. Just very shy of 5 years. And like our relationship started out just great. I mean, it was like I was the greatest person on earth to her or whatever, and we had so much in common and enjoyed everything. And she liked my interests, and I liked her interests, and it went really good for just a couple of years. And then I don't know, I'd say about 2.5 years in, suddenly it just started like I started realizing how I was getting nitpicked at and put down and noticed all the negative and how she was pushing away from the pushing me away from the things I like to do, my friends and stuff. And then at another point, she left and got her own place. And then we tried working through that. And man, I was getting accused of everything, told how bad I was and how much of a problem I was, how I'm abusive and controlling and everything else. And I really started believing it. And then she left, and it killed me. I thought I was going to die. And so I went and seen a counselor, and me and I started recording things because like I didn't see where I was a problem. So I recorded days at a time. And then I also had tons of text messages and stuff from like conversations between us. And so me and my counselor went over like the actual recordings of the days, and my counselor said, "You got a covert narcissist." And so I started looking into it. And sure enough, when I started looking into it and finding all the things that listed that you go through, the love bombing, the you know the I can't remember what
Like the
all of them.
devaluation
Yeah,
stage
the
and
evaluation, the triangulating. Like I loved her whole family, and me and her whole family got along. The one thing that nobody ever seen except for two of her friends seen it 2 times is her being rude to me or me being rude to her in the least bit.
right.
Nobody ever seen it. The only people that seen it were the kids.
They can
And
be real sneaky on how they do it too.
so nobody's seen it, but suddenly everybody started disliking me, blocking me on like Facebook or anything like that, and talking bad about me and telling her to get away from me, how I'm manipulative and all this other stuff. But yet nobody's seen us fight. And so like, and even at the end, like her oldest, well, not her oldest, her oldest son actually still lives with me and told me that he didn't think it was fair what she did to me.
Oh, so he still lives with you?
He does live with me.
How old is he?
18.
18. Wow, that says a little something too. Interesting.
So yeah, pretty much went through the ringer with that stuff.
So I noticed that you were talking about the isolation. I asked you earlier about, how do your friends support you through this? Do they understand or not? And you're like, I really didn't have any friends because of the relationship. And whether we do it to ourselves or whether the other person, our partner, turns people away from us, it is an isolation that we go through. And then we don't have a support system, or we feel like either nobody's going to understand, or we already feel so down, like we're not worth it. Um, so did you guys like do the back and forth, or she just moved out and didn't talk to you? Did she give you silent treatments?
So she was really good at starting an argument, telling me I started it, and then she would get silent and she'd go into the bedroom. I always told her, "Why are you hiding in the bedroom?" And she says, "I'm not hiding." So when I say hiding, that's what I mean. She would go in the bedroom, and then I would try to talk to her. She'd ignore me. If I went to bed, and I would try holding her hand, because mind you, I held this woman's hand for almost every single day for 5 years when she would let me. Like, I treated this woman like gold. I love her to death. I still do. I pray for her every day. But she would literally just act like she was dead. She wouldn't talk to me. She wouldn't anything. So then when we'd get in fights, she'd also use I'm moving. She'd start packing her stuff,
Yeah.
and she would either leave her stuff packed or whatever, and something would make it to where she stayed, or she would pack her stuff in her vehicle and go to leave and say she's going to her parents. She actually left a few times and went and stayed at her friends, and then actually ended up getting her own apartment that she ended up staying at my house most of the time, anyways. So
Now I noticed you said she was like a chameleon, and she's when she moved out, you said she was living with the new supply, correct?
no,
No,
no, nope.
dating.
She did not live with a new supply.
Okay, but you were saying that she started like partying and doing things that were
Yeah, so
outside.
she moved in with like first she moved in with her best friend, and she was there for I don't know, maybe a month or something like that before she came back here the first time. Then she went back there and stayed there again. And then there's an apartment that came available right next to her friend's house, so she got that. And yeah, she literally took on her friend's traits. She started smoking pot. She started drinking more. She started smoking cigarettes. Started like vaping,
Right.
and suddenly it's I've got to be around campfires and go to the river and do all this other stuff. Just the big things that her friends do all the time.
Sounds like
So
she's trying to kind of like self-soothe or something like that, just to avoid feeling what she
yeah,
should be naturally processing during a breakup.
yeah. But
And
all that stuff started when I started standing up for myself a little bit. Like I finally started looking at her and be like, look, I'm not putting up with this anymore. I can't have you doing this. I can't deal with all the negative. I started doing that stuff, and that's when the stuff really started going downhill.
what would she nitpick on?
Anything. I have a child with another woman, and I actually did that woman wrong in my past, and so I apologized to her, and me and her started getting along. So we've actually became really cordial, get along fine. We do it for my kid. We talk when we go to my kid's functions. We will talk for a few minutes during pickups, drop offs, and stuff like that. I get along with her boyfriend great. She would go crazy over the fact that me and my ex can talk for a few minutes. I
Right.
got I got my butt chewed for asking her boyfriend if he wanted to go fishing sometime. Told how that's not right and stuff like that. But yet on her end, we go to her children's grandparents' house for holidays with both her baby daddies.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, if you're gonna say it's not okay, you gotta at least live it. And
Yep.
she's that double standard. So
That's not a double standard according to her. According to her, they're two totally different situations.
whatever fits her narrative.
And mind you, her best friend that she moved in next door to is one of her ex-boyfriend's sister. So all these people that she hangs out with are from her exes. And
Yeah,
yet I can't even ask my ex's boyfriend to go fishing or
right.
or be cordial and get along and be able to have conversation at my daughter's functions. We didn't go hang out anywhere else. We didn't just talk on the phone. The only time we talked on the phone if it was about my kid or if we were face to face in the middle of one of my kids' functions or drop offs.
Now, out of curiosity, what is her like her childhood? Is she from like divorced parents? Was there abuse in the household bringing up, or
She didn't talk about her past a whole lot, but she constantly talked about a situation. There's two situations she talked about. One, she talked about her grandparents, how her grandparents just loved each other so much that they made it forever, and she just like is so envious of that, and that's what she wants, and she loved them so much. But then the one that she talks about the most was the fact that her parents were together. Her dad was an alcoholic drunk forever, and her dad and her mom split up, and she just fell off the face of the earth herself, started doing drugs for a minute, turned into like a really bad kid and stuff like that. So she had her trauma from that. But her parents got back together, I don't know, 10 or 15 years later or something like that after they both went through their own thing. And she
right?
was super, super mad at her dad because she was blaming it all on her dad that everything happened or whatever. So I'm assuming I'm probably wrong, could be wrong, don't know if I'm wrong, but I'm just assuming that that's where her trauma comes from with what she does and why
Hate,
she's afraid
hating
to.
the man in the life,
Yeah.
angry at dad. So now that you're the male figure, she's angry at you, and they say it's kind of like a cycle that they go through. Their brain is more like anywhere from a toddler to like a teenager. And it's almost like they're going through the cycle, like you know how teenagers sometimes are like, screw you, I'm out, I'm independent, I'm going to do my own thing. So it's almost like they're trying to finish that cycle of becoming whole adult and moving on. Some kids do it respectfully, others are like, screw you, I'm out.
Right.
But it's like a cycle that's going to repeat because they're trying to get that closure and that wholeness. And you know how she's doing drugs and alcohol and the partying, and sometimes even like the reconnecting with nature is trying to find yourself. So after you get into this deep depression, uh did you um was there certain things that helped you overcome the depression? I know you probably had something in your mind that is like, I just can't do this anymore. Like you said, you started going to a therapist, and this is since August.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you
Yep.
been no contact with her?
Yes.
Okay. And do you feel good about that? Is it,
No,
no, it's hard. It is hard.
yeah, it is hard. Like I said, I still love her. I love her with my heart, my whole heart. Like it is what it is. No matter whether she was abusive to me or not, I found a reason to love this woman, and I do. So I just hope the best for her in life. I hope she finds a way to heal herself. So it's
Yeah,
just, you
we
know,
gotta love ourselves too, though. Like we're not punching bags, you know, you sound
no,
like a great
absolutely not.
guy. You know, I mean, the fact her son still lives there says something. You know, that you're supportive even after she left, you're still opening up your home to this, you know, teenager. And I just saw it, like your pictures really spoke to me. And what kind of things did you do to kind of feel better?
Well, I guess I would have to start with where I was feeling in the first place. I mean, I didn't I don't know, like I didn't know up from down. I didn't know what was going on. All my mind could do is just wander, try to figure out what I could have done to make things better. What did I do in the first place? How could she end up with another guy a couple weeks later? Um, why am I not allowed to see these other kids that are younger or whatever? All of a sudden, that I was supposed to adopt one of them. We talked about me adopting one of them. All this stuff. Why am I such a bad person? You know, and so what made me get better was first it started off being really bad because I had to listen to the conversations that all the recordings and stuff like that and try figuring out what I did wrong. So
Right.
as I'm listening to these things, I'm like, well, I'm not hearing anything I did wrong, but I must have done something. So I got a counselor and went and started seeing the counselor, and the counselor started listening, heard these things, and the counselor straight out said, you got a covert narcissist. So the counseling really helped. I was seeing a counselor for 3 days a week. It was really bad. I was in a place to where I didn't want to kill myself, but I wished I could just shut my eyes and never open them again. I did not want to be here. I felt like I was a burden on the world. And then the only support I had at that moment was my mother. So I would talk to my mom a lot. Didn't help. I wished it did. I wish I could give her more credit. She was there for me. Um, all I could do is vent. But what really got me the most help was when I started searching what a covert narcissist was.
And I
Because then
know,
it gave,
like I did it too, where you're addicted almost to like YouTube videos or TikTok,
yeah,
and you're like, but okay, and you'll hear whether it's me or other creators or therapists who are on YouTube, you hear the same thing over and over again. The narcissistic cycle abuse and this and that. And like you listen to it so many times. And I even had somebody say, well, you say the same thing so many different ways or different times. And I'm like, exactly, because it's almost so hard to comprehend.
yes.
It was a loving relationship and it got this toxic, and with the guilt that you feel and trying to search and things matching up, but still you're like, but that love bombing stuff keeps going in your head and the rumination. And I never had a problem with like anxiety, and now I'm doing so much better. But I go to bed, I have a beautiful day, take a nice shower, put on a nice outfit, do my hair, have a good day, drink some coffee, spend time with friends, and then I go lay down in bed, and my body is still going. And it's like a painful anxiety. And it's like just because they have you in such a heightened state for so long that
Right.
you're used to it in a way. And your body's like, I can't relax because did you deal with anxiety or just the depression or panic attacks?
So I had anxiety through the roof when we got together. I've never had anxiety in my life. I've never had medical issues. I've never had any of that. But through our relationship, my blood pressure went up. I had anxiety to the point where they prescribed me Xanax to take. They were trying to find other stuff to where I didn't have to take Xanax, but nothing would work. Yeah, like my just everything, like the it just was like my chest was hurting a lot. Like
Right,
I can't tell you how many times I went to the hospital thinking I was having a heart attack
right.
and it wasn't. Yeah, it was, and that was when she was here. Like I,
Oh,
yeah, that was before she left. When she left, at first, yeah, like there was times I couldn't breathe. And just to be clear, I'm not out of the woods in this any manner. I'm still depressed.
oh, it'll take a while. Yep.
The most the one thing I don't have anymore is the weight on my shoulders. And that is what's giving me the relief to be able to move forward, promise myself that I'm going to like myself again. I'm going to find a way to like myself again and stuff. But I mean, I am so not out of the woods that, uh, last Saturday, well, it would be Friday night. I went to sleep and I jumped out of my bed, literally jumped out of my bed. And I had a friend that was here in the other room come running in. Are you okay? I said, yep, I'm fine. Leave me alone. I was having dreams about killing myself. I tried to kill myself. I don't know how many ways in my dream and I couldn't die. And then the only thing that killed me was her hand on the trigger and me pulling it. Like,
Oh,
why do you have dreams like that? You don't,
those kind of
that's not
dreams,
normal.
I think they're messages, whether it's from God or our brain, to where it's trying to tell you, like, you can survive all these other things, a train hitting you, this and that, but this woman
Right?
is so toxic.
It's
And
something.
that's either your brain, or I don't know if you're spiritual, it's either your brain or God telling you
Right.
that this is what is putting. I had a friend about a year and a half ago, maybe going on 2 years now. Her husband actually like shot and killed her. And you see these like Facebook posts and it looks like the happiest family. And
Right.
they have like an 8-month-old baby, and the relationships. That's why it's so important that I'm wanting to bring awareness is like she lost her life over this. And there are people, I'm glad you're strong to where you realize like even if I feel like doing that, I'm not going to do it. But people sometimes get depressed and they start either doing, drugs or alcohol, and that's when they can succumb to these kind of thoughts. That's where it gets real scary. And I don't know if you struggle with any of that type of
No,
temptation, which is good.
no, I don't.
The Xanax, did the Xanax help you?
It after she left, it didn't. So I haven't taken it in a while. Once she left, it was so bad that nothing would touch it.
Yeah,
I just yeah, it was bad.
right.
So no, I'm not suicidal. I haven't been suicidal in any of this period other than that dream, which is, I mean, don't get me wrong. I would I had like a month there where I'd have nothing but dreams about her after I started coming to her or whatever, and I'm like, okay, I can calm down, whatever. Every time I'd go to sleep, I'd have dreams about her, so I didn't want to sleep. And
Yeah.
there's times I woke up in the morning and feel, tell myself, man, it'd be easier if you just blew your head off.
Oh,
I
right.
didn't want to do it, but it was just one of those things in my head. It's like you're going crazy, Dave. Just you're going crazy. So
And it's so funny. Did she ever call you crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, duh, you're making me crazy.
Mhm.
That's
She called me
it's called the
crazy.
crazy making with the gaslighting and the things that they put us through. And you come to them like so succinct and explain these things and apologize, and you're like, I'm doing everything right, and it's backfiring on you.
Call me crazy, call me manipulative, call me controlling. Like this woman, I could look at her and be like, I've never cheated on you. I've never talked to another woman. Oh, I know. But
Mm.
yet, you know how many times that woman would be like, well, your phone has a password on it, so I don't know if you're talking to some girl or not, blah, blah, blah. And she'd say that type of stuff. It makes sense after I realized that she was talking to a guy in my bed, but she was projecting that stuff onto me, and I'm like, when in this relationship, I didn't even look at other women. Like I didn't find other women attractive. Like I had no interest in them. She was the most beautiful thing on the earth. Like she was mine. I was going to spend the rest of my life with her. And even if we had problems, I was going to make it work.
Right. Now, and when you said talking to her in your bed, it was like through the cell phone, but um, was there a big age difference between you guys or about the same age?
Now, what, let's see here,
Just a couple years?
4 or 5 years maybe.
Yeah, okay, that's normal. I know a lot of times that women will go for like older guys a lot of times. And then the men will go for, 10, 15 years younger when they move on. Do you know her new supply? Is there an age difference with
Same
them?
age, same age
I
as
mean,
her.
okay, so that can happen either way, but um does she have like a history of a lot of boyfriends, or does she have long-term relationships?
So she's got 4 kids with 4 different guys.
Okay.
Um,
And these are like red flags that sometimes we overlook.
yeah, I overlooked that. Like, I mean, with the way she portrayed it, everything made sense because her oldest kid, father was a, a, a drug addict, alcoholic, whatever. Second kid, she said her ex was an alcoholic, which he is. Nice
Right.
guy, though. I get along with him. So I took that at face value. He was mean when he was drunk. Like, okay. And then the third dad was a drug addict and was in prison. So of course, you
Right.
know, and that's the one that I was supposed to that we talked about me adopting the daughter. He was in prison her whole life and got out, whatever. So it was his fault. And then her son, what was it with her son? He was addicted to porn, and she found a picture of her best friend in a swimsuit on his phone, and whatever else. So I mean, everything that she's said ends up being somebody else's fault. I don't think I've ever heard her say that any relationship was on her. And honestly, when you first meet her and you're with her for a while, you'd think she's right. Like she seemed like an amazing
Yeah.
person. Like she seemed like she could almost do no wrong. Her morals seemed to be there. But like a few years in, you start noticing that these morals and what she say
Well,
that what she says her morals are and what she does aren't lining up. You know what I mean?
right. She's on the up and up, but then she's playing on the wild side, and then she's cheating and playing manipulative games with your head, you know.
Yeah.
Uh so when you are going through like your therapy, did he give you any kind of suggestions, or what are the things that he's telling you should do?
So it's actually a female.
Okay.
She's been telling me that I need to look at my wins for the day.
Yeah.
What are my wins? Start there. Start with what are my wins. Let's find out what my wins are. And then let's worry about who Dave is, and then let's worry about where we're going in life. So that's
Yeah,
where we're at.
sometimes just waking up.
Yeah, that's what I told her. Just waking up, so a win, I guess. Or talking to my little girl or one of my other kids. A lot of things don't feel like a win, but when you sit back and look at them later on, they really are.
Yeah, and I know it's hard when you're going through all this emotional grief, and then you got your own children, and trying not to bring the heaviness to them and being present for them. It's hard.
Absolutely.
Do you think that your daughter understands what's going on? How can I ask how old your daughter is?
So I got a 9-year-old daughter. I've got 5 kids. I've got one that actually stays with me and stuff like that. That's younger. All my other kids are older.
Okay.
But yeah, no, actually, it's funny because my 9-year-old, when when I told her that she wasn't coming back, she goes, "Oh," and I said, "Yeah." And just so you know, she's got a new boyfriend. In case you hear about her, find out. She goes, "Oh, he's not gonna like her." I'm like, "Why is that?" She goes, "Because she was so mean to you."
Oh,
So my 9-year-old noticed how mean she was to me.
right.
And then even after that, like her own son said that she was mean to me and she did me wrong and that it wasn't right what she was doing to me and stuff like that. Like so her kid, my little 9-year-old that shouldn't well my kid was 8 at this point. So
Right.
my 8-year-old kid sitting there telling me how she treated me bad and I said, well, what do you mean she treated me bad? She goes, I can understand your guys' conversations, Dad.
Ooh.
So it's like, okay,
Sometimes we do, because my daughter, she picked up on things too. And
yeah,
it's like, come on, you're how old? But they have like the pure heart they have where they love their parent and they want the best for the parent and they see things that we don't always
yeah.
see.
Well, and the thing that really spoke to me with that when she said that is the fact that she does love my ex. Like my daughter, she's like wanted to go see her and the kids and stuff like that, even since we've been split up, even after she said that. So
Right.
it's not that she don't love her. She genuinely just thought she treated me bad
Yeah.
and that she was mean to me. Like that was her words. She's
Was
mean to you.
was there a lot of like yelling or breaking of things?
Oh yeah, she broke things. Yeah. I'm not perfect by any means, and she'd get me to a point where I don't yell or scream, but I get very emotional when I'm talking. So my voice goes up and I'm stern. So maybe sounds like I'm talking to one of my kids or something because I'm just kind of on edge and trying to, and I feel like I'm just, I don't know, when you're arguing with a person like that, it feels like they got you in a stranglehold and you're trying to talk.
Right.
It's bad. Like they make you think you're crazy.
Does she
So
does she know your triggers and purposely kind of try to trigger you with certain things like any insecurities you might have or like
yeah,
let's say you were going for a job and she's like, yeah, you're not going to get it anyways because you're a loser. Who's going to want you?
no,
Um,
she knew exactly what my insecurities were. My insecurities are my kids. And she would use them against me. My insecurities were her leaving. She'd do that like a lot. Um, she also knows that my insecurities are like I had 17 years of my 18-year-old kid's mom treat me like crap, controlling my life with him, and whatever. So she knows that my kids are a big weapon
right.
and stuff like that. And she also knows that she can get under my skin by telling me that I did wrong to my exes and stuff like that, and that they probably that she probably treated me just fine or whatever. That I was probably the crazy one, and I'm the common denominator and stuff like that. So
So I know that you were like honest and open about there's some things that I did wrong in my previous relationship.
yes,
Did any of that carry over into the new relationship? By
so so not at all. I actually like I said, so I went all those years. So let me start here. I have 3 kids with one woman that I was with for a long time when I was in high school and stuff like that, and out of high school. We split up. She's a good person. I like her, or whatever. I raised my kids mainly on my own because she was too busy going off and doing whatever she was doing with the guys that she cheated on me with and stuff. Um, but she's a good person. She's not crazy by any means. We didn't have any issues. And then shortly after that, I ended up having a kid with another woman that just, I've never, like, she controlled me with my kid. She controlled my life. So I spent 17 years of being, I mean, not a good person, I guess you could say, when it comes to relationships, because I'd feel like I'd find somebody I like, and then I'd
right.
have to leave them because I'm afraid I'm gonna lose my kid as soon as she finds out. So
Oh,
I was doing things that I shouldn't have, and then my daughter's mom was one of them that I did wrong in that scenario. Somebody I really care about, probably the person I ever loved most in my life, and I did her wrong. She did absolutely nothing wrong to me. So when that happened, went through a whole custody battle and stuff with my daughter, and it really changed who I was. I fought for my son and ended up losing my son because the age he was, it was just easier for me to have her pay my lawyer off and just sign off him because she had him so brain warped against me and stuff. So I lost my son in the end by changing. Um, and I told myself, I'm never going to put myself in that position again. I'm never going to hurt another woman in my life by doing something wrong. I'm going to be the guy that a woman deserves. And so I was actually a whole different person. I got in this relationship. There was no baggage behind me that I had to worry about. There was nothing to lie for. There was nothing to hide. Like I was straightforward. I was honest. I was loving. Like I said, I made sure I held this woman's hand almost every day for 5 years.
Right.
I would walk in the house and I would hug her and I would kiss her until I love her every day for almost 5 years.
How did she
Except for
react to that?
except
Did she get overwhelmed by that? Did she enjoy that?
she seemed to enjoy it, except when she was stonewalling me or being mad at
Good.
me
Right.
and whatever. It was like, okay, I'm going to receive this. And yeah, so but now looking back at the things or whatever, even with her own kids, I can see where she lacks the love.
Hmm.
Her kids are not very loving. They're not very touchy, huggy, any of that stuff. But after I came around, then suddenly her youngest son would come cuddle with me every now and then. And her daughter, I'd hug her daughter all the time and tell her I love her and stuff like that. So like they started getting a little bit of a loving relationship, but
Right.
they didn't do it with her. It seemed like for her, it was I'm gonna buy these kids things or I'm gonna take these kids somewhere, but I'm going to treat these kids just like I treat you. When they start talking to me or whatever, I'm going to start asking them what their problem is and why they're angry and all this other stuff when they're not even being angry.
Okay. Yeah, they just
Yeah.
ask a
So
simple
I had to stick,
question.
yep, I had to stick up for the kids too and stuff like that. So it wasn't once I'm out of the situation now, I can actually sit and reflect on these things and really see them for face value.
And do you think that the this like the children, because you said you had some, she had some, kind of like a step family. Do you think that the dynamics of the step family, did that cause any problems with the children? Like between you guys arguing how to take care of the kids or the kids arguing?
No, so there wasn't really a problem with the kids arguing at all. The kids all got along. The kids still get along and whatever. And like the problem was literally me and her, whatever you want to call it. The last time she was here, right before she left, it was, I'm only here because the kids want to be here. That
And
was what she told
you,
me.
you know, for one thing, just to say that, it's basically saying, I'm using you, I don't care about you. And, normally you shouldn't use someone. Yeah,
Yeah,
and they have no problem doing it. And they'll use it an excuse for the children. Um,
yeah, she definitely used me. I bought her a 20. I spent $20,000 on a vehicle for her. I made sure that the thing was paid, like the insurance was paid for 3.5 years out of my account. The plates were paid every year out of my account. I even had monthly car washes on that thing that I paid for 3.5 years on this vehicle. She didn't work for almost 4 years.
right.
Um, like I paid all the bills. Yep, she got food and stuff like that, but I didn't eat a lot of the food that mainly covered her kids and her.
Right. The kids will eat
You
like crazy.
so like she didn't pay electric bills. I think the whole time she was here, she paid maybe three electric bills and nothing else.
Hmm. Now, when it
So
came to like, I don't know if you celebrate holidays, but like holidays, I know you said your birthday. A lot of narcissists will ruin birthdays. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Like, was she giving or angry, or what were her patterns with holidays and birthdays?
started out great. Threw me a surprise birthday party. Like all that stuff. Like they were good in the beginning, like great in the beginning. Like she went out of her way for them. And then over the past few years, the past couple years, it's been pretty bad. Heck, this last birthday of mine, she she left right before it, told me to get a counselor or whatever. We'd go to counseling, set up counseling, and then she wanted to put for the day of my birthday because that's when we could do it in person rather than virtual. And then like 2 days before that, she told me she wasn't going and ended up going to stay with another man on my birthday. So yeah,
Now, when she mentioned going, because I'm surprised they can mention going to a therapist, but like you said, usually they'll bail. Was that in response to maybe you said, "Okay, I'm done," and then she's like, "Oh, I gotta save this." Or what was the situation when she said, "Let's go to counseling"?
so I had contacted her and we were talking and I told her, I really miss you. I'm sorry this is going through. And she had, and she's telling me all these things that was wrong. And I was like, well, let's go to counseling so that they can give me the tools to change what I need to change to make this work. Like it was all about me changing.
Oh,
And
was there anything about her changing?
no, no, she actually said, I'm a good person. I'm fine with who I am. I don't need to change who I am to be with anybody. And I told her, no, you don't need to change. I don't need you to change because I didn't need her to change. I just
Right.
needed the bad things to
Just be
stop.
nice. Yeah.
That's what I told her. I said, I just need the bad stuff to stop. And if I'm the one causing it, by all means, let's go and I'll fix it. They need to give me the tools to fix me. So, so yeah, she ended up sending me the counselor to contact, all that stuff. And like I said, she bailed on that at least a day or two before from what she told me and stopped all contact and went and stayed with the guy she was talking to when she was laying next to me in bed for the
Right.
weekend. Yeah, pretty awesome.
That's hard to go through.
It is. It really,
And I think one thing that's real hard is how quickly they move on.
mhm.
A lot
Played
of times too, they'll do exactly what you've been asking for, whether it's family pictures or a trip to California or whatever it is. It's like now you're doing it.
right. But
And
she would complain about driving and stuff like that. And oh, it's late. I don't want to drive. And mind you, her apartment was like 5, 6 minutes away from my house. And
right.
well, I don't feel like driving. This guy lives an hour away from her, and she drives to his house.
Yeah.
So in the crazy part about it all is, so on my birthday, which was a week and a half after we were like, it's 2 weeks after we split up, a week and a half after she said counseling and all this other stuff, and wanted to go kayaking and wanted to spend my birthday with me, and it'd be just me and her so we can see how we connect and stuff like that. So on my birthday, she goes and stays with this guy, and then the very next weekend, she has him around her complete family, her mother, her father, her sister, her brother-in-law, her brother, and his wife, the kids, everything at her place. She has him over there. The very next weekend after that, her and her daughter goes stays at his house
Oh, really?
for the weekend. Yes, like she literally took me out of the relationship, set me aside, grabbed somebody else, and put him right back, right in my spot in the family.
And that is so confusing for the kids.
It is.
You know,
And
it,
it hurts me because I'm watching this guy just get stuck right in with my kids because those kids were my kids.
yeah. And you invest in somebody else's children, take them in as like your own. And then all of a sudden they're not only are you missing her, she's out of your life. Now these children are out of your life and your whole uh pattern is disrupted.
Yeah.
And I know for me, I talk about how when my grandmother was dying, I would come home. I was staying at my mom's at that time, my parents, and I would go say hi to my mom, walk through the kitchen, and go check on grandma. And it was just a pattern every day after school. That's what I would do. And my mind knew that grandma passed away. Eventually she passed, but it was like such a pattern. And for months, it would be all of us, how's grandma? And it's like, where's this coming from? I know she's gone. So sometimes our brain takes time to catch up to this is the new reality.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can dissociate where you feel like kind of disconnected. Did you ever feel disconnected or the brain fog or there's confusion, like you said, you were searching for answers. Were there any answers that kind of calmed you where like this makes sense now?
All of it. Like everything I read. And then when I found out that there's this thing called a trauma bond, I was like, oh man, that is me. Like because it even describes me. It even describes that you will look into narcissism and
Become
research
obsessed
this stuff,
looking into,
and it'll become an exception. Like you will get addicted to it, and you need to stop. Like it went through everything I went through, like step for step, exactly the way it was.
right,
And the amazing thing about it all is I've never in my whole life, I'm 46 years old, been through a few relationships, and never in my life have I felt the way I felt at the end of this. Like I felt out of control. I felt lost. I felt like I was crazy.
right.
Like I felt like I was going to end up in a mental institution,
Yeah.
mental institution, and it was just
So let
so
me ask you this.
so to read all that.
If there was a really nice looking lady who had her act together and you guys are kind of talking, would you um date her, or do you realize that maybe you wouldn't be ready? What's your state of mind on dating?
Right now.
Yeah.
Um, it's not an option.
And this is I don't mean to cut you off, but this is why I think when they're like, you didn't really love the person, I think we did. We're not just like, "Oh, okay, yeah, like that sounds perfect, beautiful, professional, or has her act together. Like the perfect woman. It's like, no, I'm not doing that right.
right. I know for sure I loved her because if I didn't love her, I wouldn't be able to sit here and say, you know what? I wish the best for her. I pray like I literally every day I pray for her. I pray that, he'll fix whatever she's got going on and I pray that he'll soften her heart, that he'll draw her to him. Like I pray for this woman every single day, but I want her back.
Okay, I was just about to ask you if she came back, what would you do?
I couldn't do it. So that right there tells me I love this woman. I love her enough to where I know that I want her to be good, but I
Mm,
also know that I love her enough to where I won't take her back because I can't go through this again.
right. Yeah, and like I said, I think there's lessons that we learn because you had your previous relationships, you realized the toxic things that you needed to change. And I had a friend, she had this like new boyfriend or date type relationship, and he ended up going back to his ex, and she was all upset. She's like, what is it about me? What is wrong with me? Why did he go back to her? And she was kind of focusing on herself. And I said, maybe you were kind of in his life to realize what he needed. Maybe it was a better relationship with the other
Yeah.
lady. So sometimes, the traumas that we go through is a lesson for the other person. And that can be quite painful.
Right.
Um, and the sad part too is when they don't learn the lesson and we feel like, what was this all for?
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, absolutely. See, and it's funny you asked me about another woman, if another woman was good and all this other stuff. And so the funny part is I've actually became friends with a female through this, that was really there for me. She didn't like put any moves on me, hit on me, didn't do any of that stuff. It was literally just how are you doing, blah blah blah. We talked for at least the first month and a half or whatever, just talking.
right,
And then it's a really great person. It's somebody that like if I wasn't in a messed up state, that I would probably look at dating.
right,
She deserves a really good man, but I'm at the point where it's like I don't want to hurt nobody
right.
because I can tell she likes me, but she won't say it or put it out there. But I'm afraid that what if I don't ever move on from this and this is just who I am and I'm stuck in the position that I am. I don't want to hurt this friend of mine or whatever.
Yeah. And
No,
you'll get through it. If you put the effort in, you'll get through it. But I can relate to that where it's like I'm not going to be fair to somebody. You know,
that's what I'm afraid of.
if I'm in it, I'm in it. And when you're not ready, you're not ready. Some
Yeah.
people try to soothe or, they talk about like their sexual needs and all that kind of stuff, but it's like creating soul ties that make it worse in the long run.
Sex means zero to me. Like I have no sexual drive right now whatsoever. Like my heart was in the right place.
Yeah.
I was really my heart was in it. So it wasn't a sexual connection. It wasn't I got to go get my rocks off. It
Right.
wasn't that was the good part of our relationship. I mean, don't get me wrong, that probably was the best part of the relationship because That was how
Right.
you that's how you help control me. But that part couldn't control me because that wasn't what I was in the relationship for, you
Right.
know.
Now, would she ever use sex to like manipulate you?
Oh my goodness. Um, she would withhold for sure. Not she would withhold sex, affection, any kind of love. Like she would withhold all kinds of stuff. Uh, then there's times where after we argue or whatever, a little bit later on, she's pushing to have sex. It's almost like
Right.
it was a this is going to make it better type where I'm going to draw you back in. And then there was another point, like right towards the end there, that she was talking about. Well, I guess we just need to learn to have be screw buddies basically or whatever,
Right.
and just have sex regardless of whether we're in a good mood or not. Like it was very different, but they also know
Right.
how to manipulate the sexual thing and tell you how you're the best thing ever, this that thing that they're probably telling the other person right now.
Yeah.
So
A lot of times too with narcissists, it is like extremely good sex.
mhm.
That's the other reason that people are kind of addicted too, because the hormones and stuff that's released during, sexual intercourse and all that kind of stuff really kind of bonds you and um moving forward, if there's one thing that you learned out of the red flags, what what what's the main thing for moving forward? Some red flags that you, I guess, would avoid instead of overlooking? Because I know sometimes we want to save people and be the hero.
Honestly, she was so good at what she did. I don't even know. I don't know. Like I can't sit here and pick out what I could have done to stop it from happening because there were no red flags.
Yeah, it takes time
I mean,
sometimes.
other than I've got four baby daddies. I mean, but that's this day and age. I mean, there isn't many people that don't
Right,
have. I've got three different kids' moms. So does that make me a narcissist or a red flag? It shouldn't.
right.
So
Especially
that's
too,
about
you're like, well, did her exes like cheat? And so of course they broke up. Like there's times you can, like, oh, she was on the up and up. It was them, and if you're with a narcissist, they'll make up all these excuses or exaggerate. So it is really hard. And then we also don't want to be high and mighty to where we give people grace and understanding and
well, she had the perfect situation. She had a bunch of druggy and alcoholic baby daddies. So that's a good reason not to not be with them. I mean, it's
right.
that's not a red flag. That's saying, okay, you're
But
smart,
this is the thing, it is that she's entertaining that type of man.
right?
I mean, we want to be there for our partner if they're struggling with something, but there's a pattern with these partners that are, drug addicts.
Right. See,
And
but I looked at that as she was younger when it happened because the last one wasn't a druggie or whatever, and she was with him supposedly with him for 7 years. I don't know how long they were really together, but
right,
so you had 7 years there, and then you had the oldest or the daughter now is 15. So you go back 15 years, and she's you know dang near 20s,
right,
and none of us are mature in our 20s,
right.
so therefore the red flag kind of like dwindles off with those facts. It's not we were all kids doing stupid stuff at some point.
Right. Yeah. And we can have empathy that way, where we're like, oh,
Yeah,
I've done these stupid things. So,
and that's
but how
I
many
have,
times did you guys break up? I know
yeah.
sometimes, like, if people storm off for a night, I don't really count that as like a breakup. But were there breakups during this time?
How many times did we actually break up? Just this last time.
Okay. How many times did
She
you spend the night out?
the closest to this breakup that we had was she left once. We didn't talk for like 2 weeks worth a whole lot, and then when she came back, a little while after we were together, she was telling me how well I almost went on a date so I could not come back to you.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah,
And they'll say things like that too. Um, and it's like they don't like, how is this supposed to help our relationship? You know, and they don't see it or they'll justify it. Um, what is the sneakiest thing that she ever did?
I would say talking to that. Well, there's probably a couple of them. I think the sneakiest that I can think of would be actually talking to that guy in my bed. Um, she'd be real shady with her phone. She'd turn the brightness all the way down to where you couldn't hardly see nothing. Um, but other than that, she knew I recorded conversations with my ex because of court or whatever. And so she actually, and then I told her, I said, anytime you want to listen to these recordings or whatever, you just let me know. We'll sit down and listen to them because it was conversation. You know, it was any time that I was around my ex when we weren't getting along, we were going through court and stuff like that.
Right.
She snuck her butt out to my car and grabbed my phone out of there that I recorded stuff on and started going through my recordings just to go after me and try telling me how I flirt with my ex and how I'm inappropriate and all this other stuff, rather than asking me if she could listen to him with me right there. Like I
Right.
had nothing to hide, and she basically just did it to be sneaky and whatever. I would say that's probably one of the sneakiest things these are the only things that I really caught her on. So whatever else she did
Yeah,
that I don't,
she's probably gotten away with a lot.
I
What about
mean,
like finances? I know you said you were kind of supporting her. You got her the really nice car and paid for pretty much everything. But like, would she overspend, like get like super expensive, nice outfits or her nails done all the time? Or
so she constantly worried about how she looks. I mean, this girl would not get up. She would not pull her hair back and go to the store to grab a gallon of milk and come home. She would have to literally go in that bathroom for an hour and make sure she looked perfect. So as far as looks and stuff like that, she had to do it.
that's the vanity of the narcissist.
But blowing money, 110%.
Okay.
This woman would blow money on vacations, on stuff for the kids, just like blowing money.
Hmm. You hear that a lot where they can run you into the ground with how much money they spend and
I had a few $100,000 when we first got together, and let's just say I don't have a few $100,000 anymore. And that's from between paying all the bills for her kid, myself, um, all these vacations and stuff that I paid for, the vehicle that I paid for. You know, I got some things that I paid that I enjoyed that I did for myself as well. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, most of it comes down to the fact that literally I had to pay for everything.
right.
And then you just like she she bought a hot tub. Or here we go. I'll give you an example. So I flipped houses, okay,
Okay.
and I bought this flip house. I had all the money invested into it. This woman came over there. She painted the floors. She painted some of the walls and did a couple of other odds and ends there. I was at this place forever for 2 years working on it. Finally, I sell it and I get paid.
Right.
This woman hasn't paid bills at my house other than maybe three electric bills. I bought her that vehicle, paid for all the insurance, all that other stuff that I paid for, and she still thought she deserved half of that money.
Oh, you
And when I told her that when I told her that I bought her that vehicle and I got so much money into that vehicle and stuff, well, that was a gift.
It was an investment in your relationship. Technically, though, like through the courts, they'll see it as a gift. Did you put her name on the title? Was your name on?
It was still in my name.
Oh, so that could be you letting her use it.
Yeah, no, I had it totally covered to where like this was not a gift. It wasn't in your name. That's why I paid the insurance. I paid for everything on this thing. It was in my name until towards the end there. I was like, you know what? I'm done with your mouth. Whatever. Signed it off. Get the insurance in your name. Like I just signed it off and I was done. Like I was done hearing how I used her and I blew all her money and all this other stuff. And I'm trying to think to myself, how the hell did I blow all your money? I had all this money. What do I need your money for? I paid all the bills. How did I blow your money? Oh, you took us on this vacation. I didn't want to go, but I went because you wanted to go, and I still paid for a bunch of stuff on it.
And that's what they'll do, though, is they'll throw their little temper tantrums until you're like, okay, just take it. Just take it.
Yeah.
And they're like,
Now,
okay, cool.
one thing she did do is she was trying to do, she'd go through these phases to where it's treat me like crap, and then she'll love bomb me again for a sec, then she'll treat me like crap. Well, after that first, or after that house or whatever, she wanted a hot tub is what it comes down to.
Right,
And we went and looked at these hot tubs, and I said, well, we don't have the money right now. I said, maybe after I get this house sold, I'll buy a hot tub. Well, your back's messed up. You need it right now. Your back's hurting. I'm like, well, I don't need it right now. Well, this is the one that we should probably get, like this, that, and another thing. I'm like, okay, but we don't have the money right now. We'll just have to wait.
right.
Well, suddenly there's one there that a customer didn't want, so it was $1,000 cheaper or something like that. She goes, oh, it's Destiny. And I'm like, oh, she's like, yeah, so we should get it. I'm like, I can't afford it right now. I don't want to do it. So let's not. Well, you're going to buy it anyways. I said, that doesn't mean that we need to get it.
Right.
So she ends up telling them that she wants it. I put the money down.
Oh,
I put the money down on this thing.
that's why you
She,
got to stick to those boundaries. I said,
yeah,
no.
yeah. And then she pays for most of the hot tub out of her whatever.
Okay.
And suddenly when this house sells, I'm supposed to give her this money back.
Oh,
And then when she moved and got an apartment for that one moment, she took the damn hot tub. And then she just brought it back when she was getting ready to move back in here.
oh
And then when
gosh.
she and then when she left, she asked me, "Are you going to use the hot tub or should I sell it?" I said, "I'll use it." So she got mad about that and started going off on me about how she's not going to get any money from that hot tub. I said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "I gave you a car that's almost worth $20,000 out of my pocket." Last time I seen her face or anything, it was literally, "What did you say?" Like just devil look. And I
Right,
said, "I don't understand why you're going off about money." I said, "I'm not worried about money. Look what I left you with. Get
right.
out of my house." That was the last time I ever seen her face. That was the last thing that she ever said to me face to face.
Wow.
But she bought a hot tub for me. Well, most of a hot tub, I should say, for me. But that's not a gift.
But the car is.
But the car is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah, it's only
yeah.
when it fits their narrative. I get it.
I don't get it. I still don't get it to this day, but I understand that there's something there, and it just doesn't make sense. It's easy to sit here and laugh about it when deep down inside you're just like screaming to go.
Have you been able to sleep any better?
Yes and no. It just depends on the night.
Right.
It's actually at the point to where, like, so for the longest time I couldn't sleep, and then I started getting sleep, and in my dreams I would always dream about her, so I'd constantly be waking up, and when I try to go back to sleep I'd just see her face, and like, so it started keeping me up, so I'd start getting some sleep. Now it's to the point to where I go to sleep and I have these dreams and I just can't wake up. No matter what I do, I can't wake up.
Is it like a sleep paralysis, or is it you want to finish a dream, or what do you mean? Or like you're groggy and you're just kind of not waking up? What do you mean you can't wake up?
Like when you have a nightmare, you wake up. When you have a dream that really bothers you, you wake up.
Right.
I do not for some reason. No, I'm not overexhausted or on any medication or anything that should cause that.
Do you sleep through alarms now?
I do not.
Okay.
My alarm will wake me up no matter what's going on.
Well,
The,
you got
the brain is a fickle thing.
it is. And just like I think that we're meant to understand things. That's how we cope with things, because you have that cycle of grief and there's different stages that you have to go through. And you go through the bargaining and the denial and, kind of flip-flop between the stages until you get to that acceptance. And once you get to the acceptance, that's when you're going to start to really feel better and really heal. So, when people go through the depression, it's like, all right, that's another level. You're getting closer. That's actually a good sign, because you go through anger. It's okay to be angry. And we actually need to get angry, because if we don't get angry, it's like, well, maybe I deserved it, or that's just what happens.
Right.
Um, Anger brings about change, you know.
So So far for me, acceptance has been the hardest part because literally accepting it means that I got to admit that something happened to me that people look at it and don't happen to men.
But that's why I'm so thankful you're sharing your story, because it used to be pretty high where it was all men, and it's starting to balance out. And I actually want to write like a doctoral thesis on this, is because as you see, like the gender switching, how we're kind of in that change where women are becoming more empowered, or they're changing their gender, sexual affirmation surgery, all that kind of stuff, to where um women used to be more borderline. Now we're getting more male borderline and less narcissists, and the women are flip-flopping the opposite. And I think it has something to do with this like masculine, feminine kind of energy. But more and more men are starting to come forward, and there's a lot of women that are narcissists. So, um, you
Well,
know,
I feel like a lot of it actually comes from the fact like if if me and her were here and we were arguing and we got into it and she just decided she was going to start beating me up and I got her off me and I went away, if I even put a bruise on her, I'm going to jail.
that's the thing too. Yeah.
You know,
Was she physically violent with you?
yeah, she got physical with me a few times.
Like hardcore, or just like stop?
She punched me a couple times. Had me in a corner, like actually right here in this corner, and popped me in my face, and I had no way out. So I put my hand on her chest and turned around, set her on the bed, which is where the phone is right here. Set her on the bed, and I said, "You need to not hit me." And I turned around, and walked out. My hand went from here as
Right,
I was pushing her and slid up just like that as I set her down, and I walked away. And I kept my hand just like that and lifted up and walked away. So that turned into I choked her.
right.
So yeah, it's like there's no win. But yeah, no, she got physical. She broke a glass something that shattered, went all over my foot. I had glass shards stuck in my foot, and it went all the way across my living room. Ended up on the couch right but on my daughter's head when she was sleeping. She
Oh,
ran me over. She ran me over with the vehicle I bought her.
oh, you're kidding.
No, she so I had eye surgery, and she was supposed to take me to it, and she pulled her little crap in the morning on getting an attitude and just treat me like crap, treating everybody like crap. Told me she was going to or wasn't coming back or whatever. And then when I came home from work to go, she was here. I said, "Okay, have a good day." And I thought I was taking you, and I asked her a whole bunch. So we were outside when she did all that stuff. I went outside and I went and took the garbage down the road, and I'm walking up the driveway, and she's walking out to her vehicle. And I said, "Are you really not going to take me to my appointment or my surgery or whatever?" She ignored me. Said it 3 times as she's walking to her car. So I walked up to her car to her window, knocked on it. I said, "Are you really not going to take me?" And so she backed up. And when you back up out of my driveway, you back up, and the stairs are behind your vehicle. So I'm walking across the driveway in front of her vehicle to go around her vehicle. And I was going to ask her again as I'm walking past it to the stairs if she was going to take me or not. And she just ran me right over with her vehicle.
She ever
Tried,
apologized?
she tried telling me that I was going to hold her there, and I did that to my exes and this, that, and the other thing, which I've never done to my exes, but I was going to hold her there. And so after surgery, I'm laying in my bed because I got to lay there and stare at the ceiling for 5 days or whatever because of the cornea transplant. She comes in with her 14-year-old daughter and sits there, and she goes, "By the way, I have to apologize. My Our daughter just got done telling me how I did run you over and I shouldn't have done that."
Oh, that's interesting though. Does she not realize?
I think she knows what she does, but if she's not accountable for it, she don't have to be accountable for it.
Right,
Sorry, if she don't have to be accountable for it, she's not accountable for it, I should say. If there's nobody there to make her accountable for it, that's going to say, "No, you did do this," she don't
right.
have to own up to it.
And you think about it though, like if there's love in the relation, like a true love, not just obligatory apology. She's doing that to appease her daughter. I guess I have to apologize. as opposed to, oh my gosh, like I did not realize, like I was angry at you, but I did not realize, and I'm so sorry, as opposed
The,
to,
the, the best part
yes, I
about that
get
apology, best part about this apology wasn't, it wasn't even that she said, well, the daughter got after me. The first thing she said to me was, I'm gonna say this, but I don't want any conversation after I say it. That was the icing on the cake with all that.
yeah, that's hard.
And it was kind of an oblivious, I'm not gonna say I hit you.
Right.
I'm gonna say she said I did, so I'm going to apologize. You had your kid in the vehicle and ran me over, and she started giving you crap about it because she told me she said she'd shoot her ass about running me over with the car.
Gosh.
So you think a 14-year-old child that's yours, not
Right.
blood mine, is going to yell at you for running me over the car if you really didn't do it?
Yeah.
you know,
And they
but
don't like listening to logic either.
but
Because
it's
you'll do
stuff like
that. You'll
that.
try to support your argument, and they're like, no. Well, I'll tell you what, you're not alone. There are so many men that have gone through this, and narcissism is on the rise. And thank you so much for bringing more awareness to this. I don't know if you'd be willing to, but I'd love to touch base with you in a few months to see how you're doing because
Absolutely.
you've I've already seen how much that you've overcome, and we want to be a support for you as well. But it does get better. It does get better. And I'm glad you are speaking with a counselor or a therapist. And I'm here for you too. So thank you so much. I'm gonna upload this and I'll share it to you. And
All right.
I look
Thanks
forward
again
to,
for reaching out to me. I appreciate it.
well, like I said, sometimes even just talking about it helps and knowing you're not alone. And when I upload this, you'll be able to see like comments and stuff. So any of my viewers, if you have any words of wisdom or encouragement or love, sometimes that helps too.
Yeah.
All right,
Any
Dave.
encouragement I can give to anybody right now is if you feel like you're in it, get out of it before it's too late.
There you go.
Take your power before they take your power from you, because that's my situation. She took my power by leaving.
Yeah, perfectly said. Dave, thank you so much.
Thank
All
you.
right, have a good night.
You too.